Hey guys, welcome back to another Kickster review. So today I'm going to be reviewing the latest Doctor Who special of the 60th anniversary titled The Star Beast. This was a widely anticipated episode of Doctor Who, not only because it's the return of Doctor Who, but it's the return of arguably the most popular Doctor in David Tennant. And so he was going to be returning now, not as his 10th Doctor, but in the 14th regeneration. So essentially a new type of Doctor, but with the same face. But he was going to be reuniting with Donna Noble, his old companion, and they're going to be going on this new adventure. So there's a lot of nostalgia going to this episode to try and entice viewers back to this show, which has been hemorrhaging viewers for a long time now. And so yeah, I'm just going to dive right into it. Full disclosure, I am not a diehard Doctor Who fan. I only really got into the show about a year ago thanks to my wife, who is a big fan, and the only sections of the show that I've watched is really starting from New Who with Christopher Eccleston, and I obviously saw all of David Tennant's run, and then Matt Smith's, but I pretty much stopped there and there. I haven't seen any of Peter Capaldi or Jodie Whittaker, and so now I'm just jumping back in again with David Tennant's return. So that is my knowledge and extent of the show, and I've only ever watched those episodes once. But that said, of the Doctors I did watch, David Tennant was my favourite by far, so I was somewhat excited for his return in this special to see what it could be like now all these years later. And so yeah, I'm going to talk about now the plot, just give you some brief elements of the plot, and then talk about what I liked and disliked. As mentioned, the title of this episode is The Star Beast, which is about this alien that comes to Earth known as the Meep. He's this cute little creature with a bit of a mystery around him. So the episode basically starts with the Doctor regenerating in this 14th, well not regenerate, he's already regenerated in this 14th form, looks exactly like David Tennant's 10th Doctor, but now he has the lived experiences of the Doctors that have come between. And so now he's back again, he doesn't know how he got here with this old face, but he basically reunites with Donna. Donna doesn't know who he is because she's got the whole thing going on where she can't remember who the Doctor is, otherwise she'll die. Basically, they reunite, Donna goes back to her place, and then meanwhile a spaceship crashes to Earth, an alien escapes, which is the Meep. They think the alien is friendly and cute at first, and they're trying to protect it until it turns out that the Meep is actually evil and there to destroy the planet and basically bring back its own species, which it's the last of. And so the whole thing breaks out where the Doctor goes to Donna's house and has to save her family, and they're all just trying to get through, pretend to save themselves essentially once the Meep eventually turns on them. And so then they've got to do all these different things, and it culminates in this whole conclusion where the Doctor basically has to force Donna to remember who she is in order to save the day, but ultimately that would lead to her death, which, spoilers here, it does briefly, but then she comes back to life, and there's a whole explanation for that. And so that's basically the whole episode. You've got these other species in there known as the Wrath, and you have the unit involved in a fight going on between them throughout. The Wrath are they're presented as the bad guys at first, but then it's shown that they're actually trying to take out the Meep because they know that the Meeps are very evil. So it is a pretty typical Doctor Who episode if you ask me. It's nothing too groundbreaking or unique about it or out of the ordinary. This is pretty stock standard Doctor Who stuff. In fact, so much so that I would call this almost like a filler type of story that you would have got in seasons past. Definitely not worthy of a special event or a Christmas special, anything like that. So yeah, that's the overall encompassing of the plot. And whilst I don't have too many problems with the simplicity of the plot, I did not like this episode, but for reasons I have not touched on yet, and I will get into them later. But right now, I'll talk about the few things that I did like. So starting off, obviously David Tennant is a remarkable actor, and particularly in this role of the Doctor, he always knocks it out of the park. And, I think this episode was no exception either. I think he just steps right back into that role like he never left, even though it's been, 12, 13 years, I think, something since he last did it. And obviously Donna as well, played by Tate, she steps right back into it as well, like no time has passed. So they're both great. They're both just embody their roles so easily and so perfectly that you can't help but just kind of gravitate towards them, regardless of the surrounding plot or if it's strong or not, or what the events of what's going on. But outside of those two main performances, there's nothing really to like about this episode. And in fact, there's a lot to despise. And the main thing here, I could be saving this for my Was It Woke video, which, believe me, that's going to be chef's kiss. But the wokeness in this episode was just out of control, to the likes of which I have never quite seen before in any other medium or any other franchise, I should say. They absolutely tear down the Doctor so many times, questioning his he's gendering people, why he was better as a woman, all this stuff. Like they're constantly undermining him for the sake of identity politics, the agenda that they're trying to push through this show and trying to uplift their female characters. And at the same time, you have the character Rose, who's the daughter of Donna, who is a black girl but is a trans girl. So she was a boy and now is a girl. And they make her perfect, can do no wrong, everything like that. And they even make her being trans essential to the final outcome and solution in where she quotes saying she is non-binary, and it contributes to basically helping save the day without Donna dying. And like it's unbelievable, like the levels that they're willing to stoop to, I should say. It was mind-boggling how just blatant they were with these things that they wanted to get in there. It's like they haven't been paying attention to any of the stuff that's been going on with the other franchises that are subtly referencing woke things, or maybe not so subtly at times, but this one just goes way overboard and jumps right off the cliff. Like it's just committing suicide here in terms of who they're trying to appeal to with this episode. Like this is going to annoy a lot of people who just want, good fashion entertainment, not to be lectured to by the characters. And it's unbelievable, and particularly lecturing not just the audience but lecturing the beloved David Tennant's Doctor Who is so beloved by the fans of the Doctor Who their fandom. And they're so proud of their representation. I mean, they have a disabled woman here who works for UNIT, who's leading the team essentially, and she's right there on the front lines in every instance. Now, yes, her wheelchair is decked out with rockets and whatever, lasers, all these sorts of gadgets, but it makes not a lick of sense because she still has to wheel it with her hands. Like, what are we doing here? Why are they going to these lengths to try and portray a disabled person as like someone who is as capable on the front lines as someone who is not? And that does not diminish a disabled person's inherent value in any way. We are all equal no matter what our shortcomings are in life, but like it's just, to me, it's plain patronizing to suggest that a disabled person could do things like this, and the fact having rockets shoot out of the wheelchair, her wheelchair should go flying every time, but it doesn't. So a lot of things just do not make sense in this episode for the pure sense of wokeness. And there's even a quote that boggled my mind at the end of this episode where they said that the way that they were able to save the day without Donna dying was because a woman understands that you just need to let it go. And so Donna just needed to let go of what she knew about being Dr. Donna, and that was her way to survive. And she basically suggests to David Tennant's doctor that you wouldn't know this because only a female one would know that. Doesn't make sense because David Tennant's doctor was just a female doctor hours before. So he has the lived experience of being a female. So why wouldn't he understand? Just because he's a male now, or whatever they call him, male presenting. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's so stupid. And I'm not even that big a fan of Doctor Who. I liked the show. I've been watching it for the past year, but I'm no diehard. I'm just judging it as I see it. And it's like he was just a woman. He was just a woman as Jodie Whittaker's doctor. So why doesn't he now understand it? Why just because now he's back to a man again? We know how the Doctor works. His personality changes, but his memories don't. So this would have been a memory thing to know that a woman can do this, supposedly, which obviously is not the case. They made this up for this episode, but it's ridiculous. Like, it's making decisions for identity politics that completely undercut both story and character. And the meat to me was kind of meh, like very average, very Disney-y, and which you could feel now, especially because Disney owns the distributing rights of Doctor Who, so that kind of fell a bit on the nose, but the meat character just does not feel very threatening, particularly as they're presented as this cute little thing, but it just doesn't kind of work. I know it is fitting with a lot of Doctor Who episodes, and that's why I would class this story as like a filler equivalent type of storyline that you would get in a Doctor Who season, but definitely not worthy of a special, or especially not one of 3 specials that you're getting with David Tennant coming back, and this is the last 3 times most likely that you're going to have him. He'll probably pop up again in the future, but you've got him for 3 episodes. You should be delivering banger after banger after banger of story, villains, characters, everything like that. Action. The action was okay in this. There was back and forth shooting. I thought some of the CGI and graphics was good, if I'm going to give a compliment to it. But really, I was being taken out of the show so many times by the amount of crazy wokeness that was just stuffed into it. It was just ridiculous to me. But yeah, so like, this is a filler episode storyline at best, but not worthy of the special, and definitely undermines everything about Doctor Who by injecting this woke agenda into it. So I'm giving this episode a 3 out of 10. I mean, and I think I'm being kind there, because there was not much to latch onto with this. And I'm sorry, but David Tennant and Catherine Tate giving great performances isn't enough. That is the 3 out of the 10 that I'm giving, essentially. Otherwise, there's nothing else to award with this episode. It was very meh in terms of the story, but then when you actually dig into what they were trying to achieve with their political agenda and their woke ideology, just brings it down all that much further, the way they hijacked this property to push these things through. So it's just completely ridiculous to me. I will watch the next 2 coming out, and I'll judge them on their own merit. If they're great, I will tell you that. If they are bad, I will tell you that too. So yeah, 3 out of 10 for me on this one. Very disappointing, kind of surprising they went this far with it, but I shouldn't be maybe in 2023, because that's where we're at now. Seems like every franchise is going full steam ahead with these sorts of things, but I'm hoping the backlash is coming. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, got something out of it. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode if you checked it out. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to my channel. I'd really appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.